Today, let's talk about one of the more misunderstood features on some Gibson guitars. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. It's been a little while since I've done one of these Sunday videos. I'm kind of excited to get back to it, and let's jump right in. So of course the feature that we're talking about when I say one of the most misunderstood, one of the most maligned Gibson features, or maybe one of your favorite features, are these little fret nibs on the ends of the frets made out of plastic binding. Let me come around the table and show you what I'm talking about. So this isn't a Gibson neck, of course, this is one of my necks, but it features the same thing that we're talking about. See how the binding actually rides up on the end of the fret there? So the fret comes down and there's 60 thousandths of the fretboard that's just binding on either side, 120 thousandths. So almost 1/8 of an inch of the fretboard is actually missing because the fret ends are covered up with binding. So I've done some videos in the past about neck binding because I really like neck binding. A lot of you guys have said, hey, yeah, you know what? I like neck binding too. However, in the video I made, I think it's entitled, Why Every Guitar Neck Should Be Bound. I'll even put a link to it here, or maybe here, or here, or here. I don't know where they go. I was talking about neck binding, and I got a lot of people who said, I don't like neck binding at all. I would prefer to have none of my necks bound. All right, cool. But let's talk about what, if you do like neck, how about this? If you don't like neck binding, I'm gonna save you the trouble. You don't have to watch any more of this video. If you do like neck binding, maybe you'll like the little fret end nibs, or whatever Gibson calls them. I think they're a really cool feature as a builder. As a player, I can see where like a player might go, I don't like to have binding covering up my frets. I'm losing valuable fret real estate. Or I don't like binding because I lose, you know, like I said, fretboard. Almost 1/8 of an inch of my fretboard is gone due to plastic. Again, if you don't like binding, then this video isn't going to be for you. But if you do like binding and you don't mind the fret ends being kind of taken up by the binding, there are some cool features that this has that we're gonna talk about. First of all, I really like this technique, and if you are a guitar maker or you're just starting out and you're a little bit maybe perplexed at how you get this binding to look like this, I'm going to show you some tools at the end that I really want you to get, and it's going to make your life easier. But let's talk about fret end binding. So the neat thing about binding on the end of a fretboard is, especially this style, it all but eliminates the frets sprouting out of the fretboard and cutting you. Now, I have seen, and you have too, Gibson fretboards where the fret actually pushes the fretboard away and you can feel it. If Gibson undercut the frets and put binding on and had the frets overhang, or if they glued the frets in or something like that, maybe some of that would go away. But you know, wood moves and metal frets don't. So yeah, it doesn't completely eliminate fret sprout, but it does eliminate the possibility of abrading your hand due to fret sprout. The other thing about using 60 thousandths of binding on the end of the fretboard is if you impart a 30-degree bevel on the end of your frets, like most guitars have, it's, you know, 30 degrees or whatever approximately, you actually go from the end of the binding to the top of the fret, and it's about 60 thousandths when you get that bevel, you get that angle in there. So you're really not losing any fret if you had the frets, you know, go over the binding, or you didn't have binding at all. Provided you have that bevel. Now, if when you're building your guitars, you just have straight fret ends because you got to have all that fret real estate, I get that. I don't do that, but you might. Okay. The other thing, of course, is from a craftsmanship perspective, this is pretty neat. And if you have it, people might go, ooh, that's a cool detail that I like. And I like that. It's cool. Not just everybody does that. So I want to have that on my guitar. Some downsides to it. I guess you lose fret real estate. If you need to have this instrument refretted, it's kind of a pain to save those little nubs. It can be done, but it's more money. And of course, it's more time to do initially. Now, fret real estate, there's nothing I can do about that. You also have to remember that as a manufacturer, Gibson doesn't really build guitars because or with the repair in mind. You could probably cite many examples, but Gibson doesn't make guitar. I don't make guitars thinking, well, I better be cognizant of the guy who has to fix this later. I just make the guitars, and if something needs to be repaired later, that's the repair guy's problem. I make what I like, and people buy what they want me to make that I like, etc. The other thing is it's not easy to do. There's a lot of handwork to do this right, and don't worry, I'm going to show you some tools I think that are going to make it handy. But I like this. I like the fret nubs. Yeah, it takes a little more time. Yeah, you got to have some tools. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Is it worth it? To me, yeah. To some guitar buyers, yeah. And again, there's some guys who don't like binding on fretboards anyway. They already stopped watching. So anyway, the way that you do this, and I've already made videos about how you do this. I'm not gonna bore you with me filing frets or binding in between frets is what this actually is. But what you need to do is you need to have binding that's as tall or taller than the frets themselves. Attach it. Then you have to remove all the binding in between the frets and ride over the frets. Okay. It's daunting. The first couple times you do it, it's like, whoa, man, this takes a long time. But you know what? Once you get good at it, the people who do it at Gibson, man, they knock it out quick. And you can tell a difference between a standard, like a Les Paul standard. It's not perfect, okay? And nobody expects it to be. Versus, you're doing one in your shop, you can take extra time. You don't have to do 500 binding jobs before lunch. So no one's smack talking the good people at Gibson. They do a great job, but they're manufactured. They're not all custom instruments, right? They're standard instruments. So anyway, let me show you some files that I think. Okay, wait a minute. Before I show, I'm going to show you some files. But what I do is I glue I get the binding glued on. It's over the frets. Then I run it over the router table with a flush trim bit, and it gets rid of most of this. And again, you guys can see this in other videos I've already made, and I might even link more videos to this than I already have. Once you get that, though, you're close. But you're not done. You're 80% of the way there, and that 80% was easy. Now you got the last 20%, and that's hard, just like everything else, okay? So the tools that I use for this are actually the Stuart McDonald nut and saddle shaping files. And they're these guys right here. I'm going to show you some pictures of them from the StewMac website. As it turns out, StewMac is having their summer tool jam right now. And if you use my link in the description below, it will take you to Stuart McDonald. You'll get all the same sale deals, but I'll get a little taste from StewMac. So thank you to StewMac for sponsoring my channel and sponsoring this video. And if you would like to get something cool from StewMac and you're like, I've got a spare 34 bucks floating around in my pocket. And if I do this at the time of this video, you can get both these files for $34.03, or you can just buy one of them for $17.91. I'm going to tell you which one you should buy if you're only going to buy one, but really you should buy two. Like I said, these are something like 25% off. It's a good deal, and you should get them. So the one that I use on every binding job I do, and I mean every, even if I'm not doing this on the neck, every binding job I do is the coarse and extra coarse file. And like I said, I'm sorry, coarse and medium. I've had these files for decades, so they might call them something different now. So I'm going to read it off the file rather than read it off the website. But this is the one you want, the one with the coarse teeth on it. If you're only going to buy one, buy this one. But I would advise that you buy both when they're on sale. Get the good stuff while it's on sale. So what you do after you run this through the flush trim bit on your table router, or even if you don't, even if you just go right at it with the coarse file, is you run this in between the frets, and you can actually start to see your binding slough off before you even get to where your file is touching the wood on the fretboard. Okay? Once you get to where you're almost touching, flip over to the other side and finish it up, and that way you clean this area in between the frets with a more gentle file. What I like to do then is I like to switch to the other file set. In this case, it's the fine and extra fine. And I'll go back and I'll smooth out area between the frets, and I'll also go over the frets and file that with the fine file. Okay, that way I'm not like boogering up my frets by putting a bunch of file marks into them. I gotta tell you though, I have done exactly everything with this coarse and medium file. It removes plastic as well, if not better than it does when you're removing bone or plastic from like a nut or saddle, which is what these files are sold as, nut and saddle shaping files. I also use these files for, when I don't know if you can see it, but I've got little bits of side dot material poking up. So I use the file to get rid of those guys. You can kind of work that in and get that nice and smooth. Even when I'm doing like body binding, like this body here, hold on, let me show you. It has a fabric top and 5-ply binding. And I cleaned all of this up with the StewMac nut and saddle files, and then took a razor blade and got it looking good. So the nut and saddle shaping files are also Matt from TTG's binding shaping files. So I told you I wasn't going to bore you with filing technique, but again, here's something that I've learned. This is a little, this isn't a guitar building video, so don't get your hopes up. This is a you should buy this tool and practice. Everybody hates that. Trick of the trade though is to go over the fretboard and then file the opposite side binding, rather than start with the file off the fretboard and try to match and file the binding first and then ride on the fretboard. You might be tempted to hit the binding first, but I have found that if you hit the fretboard first, you are less likely to dig into the binding that you're trying to file at the same radius as the wood part. Okay, so go slow and use the use the fretboard as a guide. Okay, don't come at it and try to use well, I guess you could do the same thing where you're cutting the binding first and attempting to use the fretboard as a guide. I would advise you to use the fretboard as a guide and cut the binding after. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so again, guys, StewMac nut and saddle shaping files, right now, at the time of this video, they are on sale for the next 2 days for $17.91. If you want to just get the coarse file, that'd be cool. Or if you want to buy them both because you got a spare $34.03 floating around your pocket, get them both. If you wear these files out, I will personally fly to your house and give you a Texas Toast t-shirt. And then you can send them back to Stuart McDonald and they'll give you a new one. But yeah, I've had these files for decades, and they are showing no signs of stopping. Okay, so it's a good way to spend some money on guitar building tools, and it's $34. You don't even have to justify it to your old lady. Okay, so just buy them and have a good time. And like always, guys, buy the StewMac stuff and buy it when it's on sale. Oh, you might be saying, well, why don't I just go to Home Depot and get a file for half that? Well, it's not the same, okay? The neat thing about these is they have a filing surface and a filing surface, and then in between those two are parallel, no, not parallel, they have two parallel filing surfaces of different coarseness, abrasive properties, and the other side is filed smooth, so you won't damage stuff. The other thing is, like a file at Home Depot, you can get these bigger ones, but when it comes time to get like in between the 17th and 18th fret or the 21st and 22nd fret, let me show you what I'm talking about. getting in, get the camera to focus, getting in between these frets here, there's hardly any actual movement there. You need something that's fairly slim. But the cool thing about this is the aggressive side of this, coarse and medium, is even on the big stuff, you can really grind this down quickly, okay? So guys, again, there's a StewMac tool sale going on. I'm not trying to turn this into a Stuart McDonald ad, but Stu McDonald, supports my channel, and I would encourage you to support them too. They're friends of mine, and they can be friends of yours. When they kick me off of the influencer thing or whatever they call me, I'll still buy tools from Stuart McDonald, okay? So guys, I hope that you liked this video. I'm glad to be back making Sunday videos again, and I look forward to your comments. Let me know, do you like the Gibson style binding? Do you hate it? Do you wish that you could get a Les Paul without it? Do you wish you could get binding on more stuff? Do you wish you never had a guitar with binding on it ever to begin with? And do you think that pink fabric top Hustler models with 5-ply binding are cool with a neck that also has little Gibson nubs on it? I think it's cool. All right, gang. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. If you like the video, click. I haven't done this for so long. I got my shtick is all off. If you like the video, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please click the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. Share it on the forums that you guys haunt, whatever it is that you do. If you appreciate the content that we do here at Texas Toast Guitars, you should go over to our Patreon page where we, gosh, for even $1 a month, there are lots and lots and lots of guitar building videos. And there's a little paywall for that, but right now it's only $1. You can pay more if you want. And Lord knows, I love it when you do. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. Oh, and this is Matt from Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. Okay, here we go. Finally. See you next time, guys. Have a great week.